Welcome back to Security and Privacy in Cloud. I'm Jay Lavanya, Assistant Professor of CS Department. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the Unit 3 Access Control and Identity Management. Under this particular topic, we are going to discuss a subtopic called Storage and Networks Access Control Options. So what is meant by network access control? So it is a security solution that uses a set of protocols to keep unauthorized users and devices out of a private network or give some restricted access to the devices which are compliant with the network security policies. It is also known as Network Admission Protocol. And in this NAC, that is Network Access Control, it handles the network management and security that implements security policy, compliance, and management of access control to a network. NAC also works on some wired or some wireless networks by identifying different devices that are connected to the network. For setting up a NAC network security solution, administrators will determine the protocols that will design how devices and users are authorized for a right level of authorization. Access rules are generally based on the criteria such as device used, the location accessed from, the access rights of the various individuals, as well as the specific data and resources being accessed. Okay. Now let us see about the components of the network access control. The first one is that restricted access. Second one is that network boundary protection. First one, restricted access. It restricts access to the network by user authentication and authorization. For example, the user can't access a protected network resource without permission to access it. It monitors and controls the connectivity of networks with external networks. It also includes tools such as control interfaces, intrusion detection, and antivirus tools. It is also called as perimeter defense. For example, the firewall, this can be used to prevent some unauthorized access to network resources from outside of the network. And other components, what is mainly used is that it is also used in if you take in components of storage area, in storage as well as area network also, it breaks down into servers or some storage area or some specific network infrastructure. So these were called as some servers where it is initially, has been used. Okay. So server and followed by structured array and followed by some structured array. So there you can see the server, the devices which access storage such as application servers or the database servers and the file server. Okay. And in storage area also, these are some specialized storage devices that hold the data, often featuring some high-speed disk or some flash storage. And network infrastructure in the storage area will be like SAN switches or cabling or host bus adapter or SAN management software. In storage area also, these specialized switches is also known as fiber channel switches, where we can able to facilitate the communication between the servers and the storage area. And what is going to be cabling is that like high speed cabling, typically fiber optic connects the switches and devices, and host bus adapter. These are some network interface cards which is installed in the server to connect them to the SAN. And SAN management software is that software which is used to manage and monitor the SAN infrastructure. So these all comes under the storage area, and the main area of components or this SAN, the storage area network, is also used to promote some various feature technologies or the topologies which is used to connect the host and switches. Next, we are going to discuss about the steps to implement the NAC solution. So what are the steps is that, so here we have some gather data or manage identities. Second, third one, determine the permission, apply for the permission, and then we have to update. So here in gather data, it performs an exhaustive survey and collect information about every device or the user and the server that has to interface with the network resources, and manage identities. Here it verify the user identities within the organization by authentication and authorization, and determine the permission. So here the determine the permission is that it create the permission policy stating different access levels for identified user groups, and apply for permission is that apply permission policies on identified user groups and register each user in the NAC system to trace their access level and activity within the network. And update is that we have to monitor security operations and make adjustment to permission policies based on changing requirement of the organizations with the tech. And the main importance of these kind of network access control and what are the steps to be followed is that, so there has been an exponential growth in the number of mobile devices which are accessing private network of organizations in the past few years. And this has led to an increase in the security risk for the organization's resource. And therefore, some tools are required that can provide the visibility, access control, and compliance capabilities to strengthen the network security infrastructure. And this NAC system can deny the network access to non-compliant devices or give them only some restricted access to computing resources, thus preventing some insecure nodes from infecting the network. Also, this NAC products can handle some large enterprise networks that have a large range of different device types which is connected to the network. And what are the main responsibilities? If you take, it allows only compliant authenticated devices to access the network resources and infrastructure. It controls and monitors the activity of the connected devices on the network, and it restricts the availability of the network resources of private organizations of two devices that follow their security policy. It regulates the access of network resources to the users. It mitigates or reduces the network threats by enforcing some security policies that block, isolate, and repair non-compliant missions without administrator attention. And common use cases like the organizations that allow employees to use their own devices or take some corporate devices home, use NAC to ensure the network security. Organizations use some NAC to grant access to different network resources to people or devices that are outside the organization, or which is subject to some different security controls. And NAC, it also protects from threats which is caused due to the use of some IoT devices and into groups that have some limited permission and constantly monitoring their activity. So these are the steps to implement the NAC solution, that is gather data or manage the identities, determine the permission, and apply for the permission and update. Okay. The principal elements of NAC. So let us see one way. So this is the very important part regarding the principal elements of NAC. Like first one is that access requester, which we used to call as a AR. Second one, policy server. Third one, network access server. It is otherwise called as NAS. That is NAS. So let's look at them one by one now. First one is that access requester. So we may determine from the name that this someone attempting to gain access by requesting it. So this access can be granted to any entity such as a device person or a process. And this entity attempts to get access to the network resources. It might be of any device or handled by the NAC system, such as a server, camera, printer, and other IP-enabled devices. And AR, that is access requester, is also known as supplicants or clients at the time. AR ensures that no entity has illegal access to the protected resources. To get access these resources, uh, AR must follow to the organization specific guidelines or the policies. Next one is that the policy server. So here in this policy server, it analyzes what access should be provided to the AR based on the AR's identity, permission level, attempted request, and an organization's established access policy. The policy server frequently relies on some backend services such as antivirus or patch management or user directory to function. The policy server helps to determine the host state. An organization which creates different access policies to clearly authorize or reject such access. If the access request follows the organization policy, the policy server gives access based on the requester's permission. Otherwise, the AR will not be able to permit, access based on their permission. And it should be noted that there are various commercial systems on the market now that provide such policy service for both on premises and as well as in cloud computing. Some of the most common examples include Cisco Identity Services Engine, that is ISC, a Force-Count platform, and Aruba ClearPass Policy Manager, and Fortinet. So these tools offer highly detailed ways to set organization rules and controls organization a full IP infrastructure. The last one is that a network access server. So the users are connecting to an organization's internet network from distant location utilize the NAS as an access point or a control point, and these often serve as a virtual private network and gives users some access to the company's internet network. And these days, a network access server functionality is frequently included in policy server system, and remote employees can connect to the company's internet network via the network access control. It serves as an access point for them, and this allows the company and its employees to create a secure connection and grant unauthorized or some authorized access to the network. And other than that, the what are the principal elements of NAC? So these are the key things or principal elements which we used to call in NAC. And apart from this, also like authentication or authorization or policy enforcement, network segmentation, and continuous monitoring, least privilege, zero trust, incident response, and guest access management, compliance, security posture check, and profiling and visibility, deployment integration, interoperability, and vendor neutral features, scalability, service availability, and then training and awareness. So these are the things which we could able to go through these kind of access control, and the components or the types we have seen, and we have seen about the use cases and what should be done through it. And next is that we are going to discuss about the general capabilities of NAC. The first one is that a policy lifecycle management. So it helps organization enforce some policies for all the operating scenarios without requiring some separate products or some additional modules. Second one, profiling and visibility. So it recognizes and profiles users and their devices before malicious code can cause some damage. Next one is that guest networking access. So it manages the guests through some customizable or self-service protocol or protocol that includes guest registration, guest authentication, guest sponsoring, and a guest management portal. Next one is that security posture check. So security posture check, it evaluates the security policy compliance by user type, device type, and operating system. And next one is that incident response. So incident response also, what it will be doing is that it will just reduces the network threats by enforcing some security policies that blocks, isolate, and repair non-compliant missions without administrator attention, and integrate with other security and network solutions through the open RESTful API. Uh, Next, we are going to discuss about the types of, first one is that pre-admission, second one is that post-admission. So what is meant by pre-admission and post-admission is that these two types of networks is first one pre-admission. It evaluates the access attempts and only allows entry to some authorized devices and users. And post-admission here, it re-authenticates users trying to enter a different part of the network. It also restricts lateral movement to limit the damage from cyber attacks. So these are the types of network access control. And other than these pre-admission and post-admission, we have what kind of pre-admission function is that? It evaluates access attempt, ensuring the user or device is authorized and compliant with the organization's security policies before some granting some entry. And in pre-admission act also, it often relies on some strong authentication methods such as multi-factor authentication or some biometrics to enforce or to verify the user identity. And the main purpose is that to prevent unauthorized devices or the users from accessing the networks, acting as the first line of defense against cyber attacks. And also this post admission, it monitors and controls the access to different network segments and resources requiring authentication or authorization for access to some specific areas. Example, like a user authenticated to access a specific application might need further authentication to access a different more sensitive network segment. Okay. Next, we will discuss about the use cases for the network access control. Okay, so what are the use cases which is available is that a knack for guests and contractors, a knack for buyer, knack for the Internet of Things, knack for instant response, and last but not least, knack for medical devices. So first one, knack for guests and contractors means whether accounting for contractors, visitors, or partners, organizations use some knack solution to make sure that non-employees have access privilege to the network that are separate from those of the employees. And knack for buyout is that here the exponential growth in mobile devices has liberated the workforce from their desk and give employees freedom to work remotely and from their mobile devices. A knack for buyer ensures the compliance for all employees and own devices before accessing the network. And knack for IoT, that's Internet of Things, is that here IoT devices, whether they may make, be in manufacturing, healthcare, or other industries, are growing exponentially and serve as an additional entry point for attackers to enter the network. A knack can reduce these risks in IoT devices by applying defined profiling and access policies for various device categories. And knack for instant response is that NAC vendors can share some contextual information, for example, user ID or the device type, with the third-party security components. They can respond to cyber security alerts by automatically enforcing security policies that isolate compromised endpoints. And NAC for medical devices means as more medical devices come online, it is critical to identify, devices entering a converged network. A NAC solution can help or protect devices and medical records from threats through improved healthcare security and strengthen some ransomware protection. Okay, so these are the use cases which is followed. And other than that, in network access control, it also has some specific things like as I have already discussed. So why is important to have these kind of NAC solution? Now with the organization now having to account for some exponential growth of mobile devices or accessing the network and security risks, they bring if it's a critical to have the tools that provide the visibility, access control, and compliance capabilities that are required to strengthen your network security infrastructure. Okay, and the NAC system can deny the network access to non-compliant devices, which place them in a quarantine area, or give them only some restricted access to computing resources, thus keeping some insecure nodes from infecting the networks. Okay, and what is meant by storage access control? So what is mean by storage access control is that it is a security mechanism or is a crucial part of data security where it ensures that only authorized users or system can access specific data and resources which is stored in a system. And what are the methods available in storage access control is that access control is role-based access control and other methods like ACL, that is access control list or a mechanism that defines who has access to specific buckets and objects, and role-based access control which assigns permission based on the roles or groups rather than some individual users or simplifying the access management. And there are other methods like mandatory access control and discretionary access control. Example like a cloud storage or the self storage or the file storage. And the key concept is that a security principle or the access level, storage access policy, as well as user delegation is. Okay. And what are the benefit or what are the limitations of NAC? We have seen so many things and how to access what are the components as we said. And the main benefit is that users can be required to authenticate via multi-factor authentication, that is MFA, which is much more secure than identifying the users based on some IP addresses or username and password combinations. Okay, it provides additional levels of protection around individual part of the network. Okay, and what are the limitations? If you take the limitation, it has low visibility in IoT devices and devices with no specific users associated with it. It does not protect from threats present inside the network. It may not work for organizations if it is not compatible with some existing security control. Okay. Yes, so we have seen about the storage and network access control. So what are the things we have seen is that like components of network access control and what are the types of network access control and what are the steps to be followed. Like we have seen like 5 steps like gather, manage, determine, apply the permission as well as update and implementing the NAC solution and why you have to go for this NAC in cloud and what are the importance of it and what are the responsibilities as a user we have to just follow and what are the use cases and what are the benefits as well as limitations and then the principal elements of NAC like access requester, policy server, network access server And then we have seen three principal elements and we have expanded those things. And in addition to that, we have seen the types of NAC, where like pre-admission and post-admission. And similar to that, we have seen in storage area network, what are the purposes and what are the key concepts involved, and why we are going for these kind of storage area network, and what are the methods to be followed. Yes, I hope you had a clear idea about the storage and the NAC access control. We will see some other topic in the upcoming video. So thank you all.